Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. Alright, we are moving from one beast epic to another. We are moving from the Cult of Barnacle Bay to Aftermath. Another critter crawl, as I started calling them just this morning. And this is the new adventure book game from Jerry Hawthorne and Plaid Hat Games. Again, Jerry Hawthorne, designer of Mice and Mystics, Stuffed Fables, Comanauts, among others. And this is his newest game. And from what I have played so far, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that this game kind of represents, I think, the ultimate example of what Jerry Hawthorne has been working towards since he first made Mice and Mystics. This game has a number of incredibly clever uses of somewhat limited components, along with the book, the storybook, the adventure book that has all of the boards and the story. There are some really cool ways that the two work together, especially when it comes to this encounter deck, in conjunction with the Discovery deck, which is a deck of, you could almost say it's almost Legacy-esque in a way, kind of in the same way that Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress is Legacy-esque, in that there are going to be things that throughout the game you are going to be adding some of these cards into your existing decks as you discover the story, as you progress. Nothing is torn up or destroyed or altered in a permanent way, so you can easily reset this game to play the campaign multiple times. And it is a somewhat interesting campaign. I, of course, have not played all of it, not even close, but the way you win the campaign is actually not just going through it as a story, but each time you play a campaign, you are going to choose 4 characters to be a part of that campaign, and you can take from 2 to 4 on adventures. And to win that campaign, you have to successfully meet each of those 4 characters' own personal goals. So the game comes with 4 characters. And for our first couple scenarios, we are going to be playing with these 2. We are going to be playing with Grumple, a big guinea pig. I believe Grumple's a female, and she starts with a starting ability called Throw that she can use. So she can pick up heavy objects or characters and throw them. She starts with a steak knife, and her goal is to build a garden. So we need to discover, while we are playing the campaign, trying to survive, we need to discover how to build the garden. And then our second character we're going to be taking out at first is Messiah. Now Messiah is a mouse, and he has this ability here called Team Focus, so he can help when there are more than one hero on the same space. He starts with a toothpick crossbow, so he's kind of our range guy, and Grumple is our melee guy or gal. And you can see their stats there. So she's better at like strength base and defending, and he's better at agility and discovering things, insight. And then his goal is to have Mission 11 in your banished deck box, which means to have solved Mission 11 and 2 or more alliance cards in your colony supply box. So he's looking to solve Mission 11. I don't even know if Mission 11 is not even available from the beginning of the game. So somehow we're going to have to find what Mission 11 is. And then there are also ways throughout the game that we can create alliances with other critters who we come across, and they can join our colony, and we can expand our colony by adding them. So the game is going to basically consist of our group of critters crawling across this city, going on missions. Each mission is going to have us go on a number of adventures of scenarios in the book, all while we are maintaining our colony. We need to discover clues of the Great Calamity. The Great Calamity is this day where all of these little critters woke up and the humans were just gone. And no one knows why. We don't know where the humans are. We don't know anything about the day of the Great Calamity, but it's this day that's kind of this very mysterious and infamous day now, where they talk about it, and we, the little critters, the mice, the rats, the scorpions, nature has taken over the city again and slowly enveloping it. Buildings are crumbling. It's a post-apocalyptic world, but perhaps not a nuclear apocalypse. So we're going to be traveling around the city, looking for clues, trying to find scrap that we can use to repair broken items, or that we can use scrap to build different settlement buildings that might help us in other ways. We need to boost our morale. Anytime our morale goes to 0 or our population goes to 0, we have to read a certain ending. There are multiple ways this game can end. And we have to, of course, find food to keep our population fed. And we want to make sure that we complete our missions in a certain amount of time. You don't lose the game if you take more time than you are allotted, but the more time you take past the time you are allotted for each mission, the more bad things happen to your settlement as the heroes are out and the settlement is having to take care of itself. So, like I said before, the Plaid Hat game, or Jerry Hawthorne's games, they kind of come with like the perfect amount of stuff, and it's not a ton of stuff, but everything is used in creative and meaningful ways. So one thing this game comes with is really cool are these deck boxes. So you're going to be keeping your characters in these boxes, and you can add their special abilities and any items they have and different things to that. Then you have your settlement box, and this is going to be where we're going to store all of the things that we get that help with our settlement and how we save our game. And then this is the banished box. So this is kind of like, these two boxes kind of control like the overall legacy element of the game. Anything that's banished that in another legacy game, you would rip up, you throw in here, and it's out of that campaign. But as soon as you finish that campaign, you can reset it super easily. And there are a ton of different events, all kinds of different random things that can happen, different endings, different ways to succeed. And as they introduce more characters with expansions, which they are planning on, of course, you could play the campaign over and over again, just trying to, because you're trying to complete the goals of the characters, not just work your way through a story. So that's really cool, really neat way. The minis I absolutely love because you don't have to paint them at all. They come with this really nice wash, kind of like the Mechs vs. Minions minis. And I think they look fantastic. This is almost kind of like how I was painting my Kingdom Death Monster minis. But they look great, really pop. The detail just pops with that nice wash. These are two of the heroes we were playing. So this is Grumple and this is Messiah. Here's some of the scorpions. But really great job on these minis. I like that a lot. They look cool without painting them. The detail pops and they kind of pop off the colors of the page. So let's see, anything else I wanted to get done with? Oh, there's also I haven't actually got to experience this yet, but there are ways that you can travel on road and have road adventures, kind of like little mice Mad Max. Very cool. And then of course what you'll discover when we start our playthrough is this game does not use dice. Well, it uses kind of fudge dice or fate dice, kind of, where it just gives you a little bit of randomness, but then all of the actions and the way the threat builds up and the way the enemies decide what happens is through this cool little deck of cards and this action card system, which is pretty neat. I like it. It's one thing I've talked to Jerry about this a couple times, and he does agree with me, but the Plaid Hat rule books, they keep getting thinner and thinner, even though their games kind of get, I'm not gonna say this is a simple game. It's not complex, but there are a lot of moving pieces, and I had a really difficult time getting into Comanauts, mainly because the rule book. The rules are presented in the rule book for Comanauts, but that game is so kind of weird that there's nothing in the book that tells you how to play, what kind of game it is, what you are expecting to do, what is the loop in the game. They don't have enough examples. And I kind of feel that same thing with Aftermath. I really think, just if people from Plaid Hat are watching this, I know rulebooks are expensive. We're already dealing with an expensive game with plastic components and this huge storybook, spiral bound with great cover, thick cardboard cover, and tons of art and writing in here. But there really needs to be more examples in the rulebook. And I think things need to be repeated more often than they are, because starting with, I think it was about Stuffed Fables or Comanauts, a lot of the information you're given is just on these pages here that show the components. And when you're reading, it'll just mention something like, oh yeah, do this with this card. But it's like, well, what card is that? You have to go back to the components and look for it. Some of this information should be repeated within the text of the rules, just to help it, just to solidify, how the components are used in conjunction with the rules. One example I found here is, well, first of all, it's kind of a double-edged sword. This read me first page is really cool. So this is a whole thing on how to set up your first game and how to set up the game to play. It's really cool. I like it. However, one of the things it says is to construct each character deck box and add to each their matching character card, character influence, action card, starting item card, and starting ability card. So I'm thinking, okay, character influence card. Where are the character influence cards? I was looking through the book, and finally I went here into the action cards, and it's number 8 listed here, character influence. And like the example that it gives is this tiny little glimpse of the card all the way in the back here. So one of the first things it says is to read this first, but when you go to the thing that one of the first things you have to do is you have to hunt to find what your character influence card actually is. And I could see this being very confusing to some people who are just maybe not used to this kind of game, not knowing that these certain cards have to be pulled out. So it's stuff like that. It's like examples. All of the information is presented in the book, but it's only ever really presented one time, and it's really lacking examples on how players should play the game. It's lacking a turn example of what you can do, a playthrough. I always like reading like little playthroughs, like where they have a group and the group goes through a number of actions, and you can learn the game by reading a narrative of a game being played. That's a really good way to learn a game. The rulebook's not bad, it just could use more. So Kobe, Plaid Hat, give the guys a little bit more money to print more robust rule books. It would go a long way to making the first couple games smoother. But anyway, so we are going to be starting a playthrough. I'm going to be playing up through the first boss, I believe. So there are going to be some spoilers. I'm not going to read the opening story. We're going to start the actual playthrough on the next episode. I just wanted to give kind of an introduction and a quick overview of the game. So yeah, there will be spoilers. There will be mistakes. Once again, never use my videos to learn how to play. There are a couple of how to play videos already up, and I was watching those and I noticed a few mistakes in those, and I think it's the mistakes that they made in the how to play videos kind of mirror some of the issues that I have with the rulebook's lack of examples for enough things. But it's not a very complex game, and we're going to be able to get through it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. This game has really, it makes me very happy, this game, to play it. It's super cool. It scratches a ton of itches. The dungeon crawl itch, a narrative itch. You have your post-apocalyptic survival. You get to build characters and have very cool imaginative adventures. And from like a game design side, the way all the components and mechanisms and everything works together is super, super cool. So we're gonna have a lot of fun playing this, and if we want to play it past the first boss, maybe we will. We'll see how it goes. But until then, second episode should be up by tomorrow sometime, and we are going to be having a lot of fun with Jerry Hawthorne's Aftermath. So all right guys, we'll talk to you later, and take it easy. Bye bye.